Introducing new case from Phanteks. Today we have Phanteks G360A, which is quite an outstanding case, and I, just like a couple of last times, I do have to say it right on front, because it really, first of all, it really does look great. You have it in matte white and satin black, and you can see what I have right here. But it's quite an outstanding case because it has loads of possibilities, and for a mid-tower, I would say some sort of a standard dimensions, it has loads of space. Now, if you remember P300A, I was really satisfied with this case, and this is somewhat more advanced model because it supports loads of stuff, and it comes with three 120 addressable RGB fans, which can be connected directly to a motherboard, or they can be controlled right on the top with basically changing colors or mode depending on what you like. So it's quite easy. The only thing that's actually really cool, if you connect them directly to your motherboard, you can control them on the button on the top. So it kind of, motherboard takes the main control of it. Now, as you can see right here, before we go into more details, and I've already went a bit too far, we have two additional products here from Phanteks. This is Glacier One 360 MPH, and we have the Amp 1000 White Edition, which I was quite impressed with the power supply, of course, and with the AIO, but the power supply has actually white cables, and this is the first time in quite a while that I didn't use custom sleeved cables, because this looks quite outstanding. Now, as you can see, GPU, unfortunately there isn't a 8-pin GPU cable that goes solely without additional 8-pin, but that doesn't matter. I managed to somehow arrange it, and it looks quite nice. I mean, better than the ketchup mustard cables that were quite hideous, but this looks quite nice, and they're really flexible, so you can bend them to your will. As you can see, the 24 pin is really nicely bent, and even here at the back for two 8-pin EPS, it's quite nicely manageable. Since I mentioned the cables, and since we're right here at the case, the back side of the case can support up to three 2.5-inch SSDs. The only thing is that you get two brackets, so additional bracket you do need to buy it, but that's quite alright. I mean, two 2.5-inch SSDs at the back. At the bottom you have two 3.5-inch brackets for your hard drive, so hard drive cage. And the cool thing about everything at the back is that you can rearrange your cables so nicely that this is actually one of the first cases in quite a while that I managed to close the back without even breaking a sweat to trying to push the extenders, the cables and everything else. Because, for instance, two EPS cables go on the side completely without touching the back panel, and here you can actually see it right here on the right side of the motherboard. You have a bit of a standout, so all the cables can go through that long and wide canal, and this is really nice because you also have two Velcro ties, and with those you can tie those cables up and make really nice cable management at the back as well. That's cool. I forgot to mention that the power supply, since we're still at that cable thingy, is fully modular, so it gives you a possibility to actually use only the cables that you need. You don't need to use all of them or have unnecessary SATA or Molex or additional PCI cables. You can just use what you need. Now, when it comes to this case, it can support, now listen to this, at the top 360 radiator, up to 360 radiator, you can go 240, 120, and you have a magnetic dust filter, which is quite nice. I think you could maybe squeeze a 280, but I'm not quite sure because I have high profile RAMs, and if you push it a bit at the back, because definitely the IO shield of the motherboard will interfere with 280 radiator, but nevertheless you can definitely place 140 fans at the top. At the front we have a completely different story. We have a 360, 280, 240 or 120 depending again on your configuration, and you can place that on front, even though you have already three fans, and this is what I decided to place the Glacier One 360 MPH on top. Basically I have three fans as an intake, three as the outtake, and that's cool. Now the MPH of course has the mirror effect, and it looks really nice, and it's cooling i5 12600K. Now I know you guys might consider what's going on with constantly using 12600K and the Sapphire Radeon RX 6650 XT Nitro Plus. I want to have some standardized benchmarks so I can compare the cases, and you can actually see from my past reviews and compare it to some other cases or some other coolers. That's the thing. Now let's check out the top side of the power supply shroud is completely clean. You only have a couple of screws that hold the actual cage, and you have a nice LED right here at the bottom side of the tempered glass, which also has white rims. So the whole case is white except for the screws and the thumb screws, and that's quite nice, I would say, because usually manufacturers tend to produce a white case and they put black rims on the tempered glass, which looks totally hideous almost. But nevertheless, this case really gives you loads of opportunities with loads of course, cooling capacity on the front, on the top, and you can even place 120 at the back. You don't get any fan with the case at the back. On the front, as I said, 120. Now, when we're talking about temperatures, and this is really outstanding, we have 12600K and we have the 6650 XT. 12600K went up to maximum of 55 degrees Celsius, which is outstanding. I know it's a 360 radiator, but still you do need to have an open front. And the GPU went up to maximum 58 Celsius degrees, and that is quite outstanding, I would say, because the front fans are doing what they have to do, make nice intake, and the perforated front with the fine mesh is protecting your case basically from dust, but still giving enough airflow through the case to cool everything down. Now, yeah, I mean, loads of space at the bottom compartment, which gives you a possibility to tuck in cables that are a bit too long and you really want to do a nice cable management. But all in all, I would say really nice. The power on button is a bit changed from the P360A. It's placed right here on the top, and you have two buttons on the side for mode and for color, two USB 3.0, and you have one 3.5mm jack 4-pole, which is for headset and for your microphone. Now basically comparing G360 with P360A, you get more cooling capacity when it comes to radiators, positions and fans. You get much better airflow through the power supply because the intake is designed much better, which gives of course better cooling for the power supply. And of course you have a dust filter here, which is easily taken out to clean. On the front we have a radiator or a fan bracket, so you do remove the front panel, which is completely redesigned comparing it to the P360A. So you can remove it, and then you have a removable panel which gives you an option to actually install the 280 radiator, which goes a bit wider than 360 or 120, which is logical of course because that is 140 millimeters. Now mentioning the power supply shroud and all that it's inside, if you leave the hard drive cage as it is, you have 220 millimeters of storage space for your cables, but if you place it on the other position, which is more on the front, you get up to 280 millimeters, which gives you again nice possibilities for cable management. Now the GPU length can be up to 400 millimeters, and this is actually quite cool because even if you decide to place a radiator on front, you still have loads of space for those long graphic cards, right? When we're talking about the CPU tower cooler, for instance, if you wish to go with air cooler on your CPU, you can go up to maximum height of 162 millimeters, which is quite nice. So taking everything into consideration, we have a redesigned front, you have loads of space and long graphic card possibilities, possibility for a 360 radiator on top, loads of possibilities at the back, making the cable management quite nice, giving you loads of nice options inside this case. And matte white or satin black is definitely a cool choice of colors because it gives you, as you can see, you can go completely, almost completely white when it comes to builds, or satin black. Thumbs up for Phanteks. This case as a mid-tower, in the mid-tower range, when we go into fans capacity, cooling and everything else, and the approach into building inside this case, this is definitely a mid-tower case with the Best Buy PC Crazy badge. No questions asked. It looks quite nice. It's it's DRGB prepared, so you just have to plug it in your motherboard. You have a LED strip right here, DRGB fans on the front. If you go again with Glacier 1 360 mph, which really does look nice. This is the, I think this is the first time, or maybe it isn't, that I'm actually using a Glacier 1 in full white, so it really does look quite nice and effective inside this case. And of course the amp 1000, which is fully modular power supply and is 80 plus gold certified. So yeah, quite nice combination with everything, full white build. And that's all for today. So guys, today Phanteks released Eclipse G360A. I'll put the links below for all three products. You can check out the prices. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Hopefully I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.